Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. Happy Friday, it's March 6th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. It is that time of year again. This Sunday, we are springing forward.
Shortly after the time change, we lose some sleep, which will affect our circadian rhythm, again, our internal clock. It throws that off.
A Valley doctor talks to us about how a time change can affect our bodies. But first, these headlines. California is among 24 states suing the Trump administration over new global tariffs. The states filed their lawsuit on Thursday. They accuse Trump of overstepping his power with 15% tariffs planned on imports from much of the world. Trump has said the tariffs are essential to address trade deficits. Last month, the Supreme Court struck down tariffs that Trump imposed last year. A worker at a clinic in Fresno was shot on Thursday by a patient. According to Fresno police, a 60-year-old man brought a loaded gun into a family health care clinic in central Fresno. He allegedly fired at a 30-year-old female employee. Here's Fresno Police Lieutenant Larry Bolin.
This looks like this was some type of personal interaction between the patient and the employee that was targeted. And so at this point, we want to let the community know that we are not looking for anybody else involved in this case, and that this is a location has been secured and everybody else inside was okay and not injured during the incident.
The woman was taken in critical condition to a hospital, but was last listed as stable. Police captured the suspect within minutes of the shooting and say there is no risk to the public. The CEO of California's high-speed rail authority is returning to work after being on administrative leave. Ian Chowdhury was arrested last month after a domestic violence call and was released without charges. He was placed on leave in mid-February while an investigation took place. State officials are stepping in to help a small Tulare County town get clean drinking water. As KVPR's Carrie Klein reports, it's not the first time.
The water in East Orosi has long been unsafe to drink, particularly because of nitrate contamination, which can cause severe health problems in babies and pregnant women. So, the State Water Board last week ordered the nearby town of Orosi to bring East Orosi into its water supply. It's called a water system consolidation. The state also ordered these two towns to consolidate back in 2018. That process was mired in delays, despite multiple laws to help small communities get safe water. In the meantime, the state has long provided bottled water to the town's 900 residents, and it's spent more than $1 million in technical assistance. Safe drinking water is considered a human right in California. For KVPR News, I'm Carrie Klein.
A Fresno County supervisor is criticizing a nonprofit over human composting supposedly happening along the San Joaquin River. Supervisor Gary Bredefeld said that attorneys for the county issued a cease and desist letter to the San Joaquin River Parkway Trust. Bredefeld said the trust reportedly gave permission to a company to spread human compost into soil along the river. It wasn't immediately clear what exactly the compost consists of. The activity reportedly took place in an area called Sumner Peck Ranch. Bredefeld said he's raising the alarm over the issue because the land along the river is sensitive and culturally significant. A Merced College dean is responding to reporting by KVPR and our news partner, the Merced Focus, that looked into past complaints against him. KVPR's Rachel Livenall reports.
At least 10 complaints were filed against Merced College Dean John Albano in late 2024. They alleged gender and race discrimination. Ultimately, 2 investigations cleared him of wrongdoing, but that wasn't the end of the controversy. KVPR and the Merced Focus uncovered workplace conflict was playing out behind the scenes, both during the investigation and after. In his email to staff, Albano did not dispute the reporting, but he said the reporting doesn't, quote, fully reflect the findings of the investigations or broader context. The news outlet sought comment and interviews from Albano and college officials multiple times. Both, however, provided only statements that didn't directly respond to questions. For KVPR News, I'm Rachel Livenall.
And you can read the full reporting on this investigation at kvpr.org.
KVPR's podcast, Central Valley Daily, is proud to be the Valley's only daily news podcast. And what better way to show your support for local news than to join us at Corks and Brews, KVPR's Beer and Wine Festival. We'll have live music, food trucks, and a silent auction, all along the gorgeous San Joaquin River. The event is Sunday, May 3rd, and tickets are $75. Get yours at kvpr.org. We can't wait to see you there.
And now to our main story. Sleep. That is right. If you find it hard enough to get a good night's sleep on a regular day, you may be in for a rude awakening. Daylight savings time is Sunday, and that means one less hour of sleep, or doom scrolling if you're a late night warrior. But there is some good news here. Doctors say we can take some small steps leading up to the time change to increase our chances of not feeling so out of sorts. Today, Dr. Hemmal Kothary has some advice to do just that. He's the Chief Medical Officer for the Mercy Hospitals of Bakersfield and Central Valley Market for Dignity Health.
Sleep is probably one of the most important things for our bodies. Not only does it help with the regenerative process for our bodies and mind, but it helps with restorative processes as well, meaning it will help, heal up muscles, strengthen your bones, also lets your heart rest at night as well, if that makes sense. Your heart rate does slow down as you sleep, so it gets the rest. It is a truly restorative function, me.
And tell me about some of maybe the hormonal happenings, because I hear about the melatonin releasing and how that can sort of affect our circadian rhythm. Tell us about that.
Sure. As we sleep, as we're getting ready to sleep, we have an increase in a hormone in our brain called melatonin, which does help you sleep at night. It is also the same hormone that's released after you eat a bunch of turkey during Thanksgiving, which then breaks down into something called tryptophan, which then converts into melatonin. It's why we feel tired after Thanksgiving. But that does go up. The other thing that goes down in our body while we sleep is a hormone called cortisol, which is a hormone that can cause a lot of bad things, if you will, if it's raised at different times of the day. It does raise as you wake up in the mornings. And the reason for that is your body is getting ready to restart again. So it increases that cortisol level in your body, which then tells your liver to produce more sugar. Liver produces sugar, which your body then uses as fuel. It also elevates your blood pressure so that when you get out of bed, you're not passing out. You don't get lightheaded.
Okay, so on Sunday, we will spring forward an hour, which means people will lose an hour of sleep. From a medical perspective, what are some key things happening with our bodies when we're dealing with a time change?
It's interesting we're talking about this. I think a lot of people, when you talk about spring forward and fall back on our times, a lot of people, if you were to ask them which one's worse, most people would probably say the fall, because we're turning the clock back. And it's physiologically, turning the clock forward is actually a lot worse for your body. And biggest reason, one, the first day or two afterwards, or shortly after the time change, we lose some sleep, which will affect our circadian rhythm, again, our internal clock. It throws that off. It also, there's been some studies that show that people that are at risk for heart disease, older people that have diabetes that's out of control, people that have blood pressures out of control, it will throw that off. And we found that those people are a little bit more prone to having heart attacks and strokes. And the reason for that is those cortisol levels. Your body's not used to, it was used to a certain circadian rhythm, a certain amount of sleep, and it throws that off. So now your cortisol levels go up a lot higher than they would in the mornings, which will cause your blood pressures to go up, which if you're prone to having heart disease with high blood pressure that's not controlled, you can potentially have heart attacks or strokes.
Well, off the top of your head, for people in those scenarios with existing conditions, or just anybody, what are some of the key things we can do to maybe temper any of these negative side effects that might be caused by the time change?
So the easiest would be to get rid of this time change, I would say. But anyways.
Yeah.
What we've tried to tell people is today would be actually a good day to start, is starting tonight, trying to get to bed, about 15 to 20 minutes earlier, and then waking up 15 to 20 minutes earlier than you normally would. That will help your circadian rhythm reset again.
So with sunsets going to be starting later and later with all the extra daylight, how will our bodies regulate? Are we more likely to stay awake longer with longer days ahead? Is that bad for us? Is that good for us?
I don't know if it's bad or good per se. We need a certain amount of sleep. Now, there's a magic number that's come up, 8 hours. Now, is that correct? Probably not. Some people can do well on 7 hours of sleep. And what you have to do is you want to be well rested when you wake up in the morning. You want to be able to wake up and say, "Oh, I feel good." The problem with staying light later is your melatonin doesn't start to produce until the lights go out, until it's darker. So your melatonin production is delayed. So people tend to stay up later. They still have to wake up at the same time in the morning, once again, throwing off their circadian rhythms.
And real quick, different levels of sleep. A lot of folks, wear their Apple Watch to bed, or they like to see the different types of sleep they're getting, the REM sleep or the deep sleep. Does that matter, or what should people be looking for if they like to look at those metrics?
In order to get good sleep, technical good sleep, you've got to go through 4 stages of sleep. And it goes from very light sleep to stage 4, which is your deep REM sleep. And you've got to hit each stage at least once during the night. And you don't have to go sequentially. You can go from very light to very deep. But as long as you hit all 4 stages, you'll have had good sleep. These watches and these devices are so amazing and well in tune with the way your circadian rhythm works and your heart rate, your breathing patterns. It's an AI tool that will predict which level of sleep you've hit.
And so the metrics on the smartwatches and things, those are generally trusted as decent indicators of the different sleep cycles you reached?
Yeah, there are indirect ways of looking at the different sleep cycles. The true way of looking to make sure you hit every single sleep level is to do what we call a sleep study, where we actually hook you up with different pieces of equipment and we actually monitor and make sure you're hitting every single sleep.
Okay, lastly, doctor, if people were to take one thing away from our conversation today as we head into the time change, what would you want that to be?
Get adequate sleep. Get into a room that's dark. Make sure it's cool and quiet. You've got to get all 3 of those things to make sure you get good sleep. Wake up in the morning feeling rested. If not, you're not getting enough sleep.
Dr. Hemmal Kothary, Chief Medical Officer for the Mercy Hospitals of Bakersfield and the Central Valley Market for Dignity Health. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And that is today's show. I am wishing you a good night's sleep over the next couple of days, and we'll be back here on Monday when the days are a little lighter and brighter. Have a great weekend. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
This is Tanya Mosley, co-host of Fresh Air. You'll see your favorite actors, directors, and comedians on late-night TV shows or YouTube. But what you get with Fresh Air is a deep dive. Spend some quality time with people like Billie Eilish, Questlove, Ariana Grande, Stephen Colbert, and so many more. We ask questions you won't hear asked anywhere else. Listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.